All right, this problem says if a stone is dropped from a height of 51 feet, its position after t seconds is given by the function s of t equal to minus 16t squared plus 51. Find the time guaranteed by the mean value theorem when the instantaneous velocity of the stone equals its average velocity over the complete fall. So let's go ahead and take a look at a picture of what it is that we're investigating. That is, we want to see what the graph is. And S, you should be fairly familiar with what that might be. That's actually going to be a parabola that looks roughly like this. It is a symmetric parabola where this point is 51. Actually, this is going to be the point S of t is 51. And more specifically, this is at t equals 0, because this is t equals 0. So maybe we should just replace that with a 0. And then we don't have this value, but we know that whatever that value is, this is 0. So for one of them, the input is 0, and for the other one, the output is 0. Now to figure out what t that might be, we should set s of t equal to 0. In other words, this function equal to 0, which implies that 0 is equal to minus 16t squared plus 51, which means that (16t squared is equal to 51 divided by 16. And finally, we see that t, little shortcut in the computation, is equal to plus or minus the square root of 51 over 4. So this is the square root of 51 over 4. Okay, so now to find the average velocity, what we're looking at is the slope of that secant line. So to find the slope of that secant line, I find, by the way, this is root 51 over 4. So what I do is I find S of square root of 51 over 4 minus S of 0 over square root of 51 over 4 minus 0. And we already know S of 51 over 4 is 0. We know S of 0 is 51. And then, of course, this is just square root of 51 over 4. And I'll move it over here. So that's going to be minus 51 times 4 over the square root of 51 and if I simplify, what I might do to simplify is multiply by the square root of 51 over the square root of 51, which leaves me with, it's going to get kind of messy at first, minus 51 times 4 times the square root of 51 over 51. That's what these give me. Those cancel, so I'm left with minus root minus 4 root 51 minus 4 root 51. Okay, so now I need to find the derivative of my function as the mean value theorem states. So then the derivative of s is minus 32t, and it states that there's a point where the average velocity, which is what that is, that's average velocity, or basically the average, the slope of the secant line, where those are going to be equal. We already found this. So let me do it this way. S prime of C, in other words, minus 32C is going to be equal to minus 4 root 51. So if I solve, divided by negative 32, divided by negative 32, this finally implies that C is equal to 4 root 51 over 32. And that is the final answer that we are looking for. So that value is some value in here that if we take the slope of the line at that point, it's going to be equal to the slope of the secant line.